New Zealand raises minimum wage and increases taxes on the rich.
Here's a summary of the article.
New Zealand is raising its minimum wage to $20 an hour and increasing the top tax rate for the country's highest earners to 39%. The changes will be rolled out on Thursday, alongside small increases to unemployment and sickness benefits. The government estimates the minimum wage increase, a rise of $1.14 per hour, will affect up to 175,500 workers, and increase wages across the economy by $216 million. The new top tax rate will apply to anyone earning more than $180,000 a year, about 2% of New Zealanders. OECD data shows that New Zealand's previous minimum wage, as of 2019, was already among the top 5 highest in the world. Over the course of the COVID pandemic, many of the country's essential workers have been minimum wage earners, including those who work at the airport and in border jobs, and are considered the frontline defense against the virus. The opposition National Party opposed the minimum wage increase. Sharply increasing the minimum wage during a period of extreme uncertainty for small businesses is economic vandalism, said its workplace relations spokesman, Scott Simpson. The Ardern-led government has raised minimum wage gradually over the past 4 years, adding up to an increase of $4.25 an hour since 2017.
This post received a score of 40,000, with an upvote ratio of 87%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
We raise the minimum wage every April 1st. This is not anything out of the ordinary for our country.
$1.14 per hour seems like a massive raise, and it's up $4 per hour in 4 years. Over the ditch ours is lucky to go up 30c, and our minimum wage would be much higher. Or at least it was.
I'll never understand why people don't support yearly wage increases indexed to inflation. It makes no sense that my value to my company is less every year unless they choose to adjust my compensation. If we adjusted it to remotely useful and then indexed it to inflation, we could avoid another one of these sudden jumps to make up for stagnancy.
They like arguing about it constantly because it gives them an excuse to not actually do anything.
Hypothetically, say you had a country with 2 parties, both of which, say, are heavily lobbied by the wealthiest in the country and have platforms based mostly on culture war wedge issues. Hypothetically, every election cycle one party could promise people a minimum wage increase, and if they lose, blame it on the other party. But if they win, then no worries, the party will find a way to fuck it up every time. Then there'd be a handy forever promise that gives people enough hope to not riot but also keeps them poor.
Don't forget the too poor and tired to riot part. Hypothetically speaking, of course.
Yes, minimum wage went up, and yes, the top tax bracket went up. It's pay or tax earned on wages and salaries. The top bracket is $180,000 per annum, which is 2% of wage earners, or approximately 75k people. Actual rich people pay at most company tax rate, which also applies to trusts, at 28%. Mostly they post write-offs and live off negative gearing and pay closer to 10.5%, which is the minimum rate. The tax increase is an easy outlet for virtue signaling, achieves nothing, and New Zealand is still a tax haven for the 1%. Don't get sucked in by this gobshite propaganda.
The capital gains tax in New Zealand is 0. To suggest they are taxing the rich effectively is a joke. We have the Bright Line test, which is a form of capital gains. It ensures you don't tax people who aren't attempting to make a living off of flipping houses, since many people's retirement in NZ are based around property. It was introduced about 8 years ago, and the current government has just announced some extra laws around it.
Most investors have been able to get away with massive tax evasion across the last couple of decades, though simply by pretending they didn't buy for capital gains. It's been a right-roared and huge transfer of wealth from younger working folk to older asset owners.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.